You probably already heard about the free Assassin's Creed Mirage DLC that is coming at the end of the year, right? Well, since the reveal we had some extra leaks and information that I want to go over in this video. But first, to get you up to speed on what Ubisoft confirmed themselves, there will namely be a new story chapter and missions set in a 9th century Alula. This is a region in the Arabian Peninsula, now called Saudi Arabia. And according to Google Maps, it would take 378 hours or 16 days to walk. So less on a horse, but yeah, it's pretty far from Baghdad. We'll go over why this location was chosen and why it's probably free in a moment. David Guetta actually recently did a show here where we can see the environments that we're likely able to explore with some really cool structures. But it will also feature an urban environment, likely more similar in terms of buildings to Anbar, where we of course start Mirage, looking at this image of Alula. Although the first concept art they shared focuses mostly on the vast desert we can explore. And there are a lot of interesting things to note in this image. I want to for one focus on the brooch that Basim is holding in his hand, something that is attached to all of his story related outfits as well, but it never really gets explained in the game what this is. Well, actually the voice actor of Basim in Mirage, who will by the way be back for this new content, does explain the origin in the collector's edition unboxing video.
The brooch is actually a very important part of Basim's history. So when he was a child at home, his father's was an architect, and designed the home. When they had to leave, Basim took a, what do you call it?
A ceramic
right?
tile.
Like a ceramic tile from his house, and turned it into that brooch so he would never forget where he came from and never forget his dad.
So him holding it in the DLC image with an older looking character in front of him likely means that Basim wants to explore what happened to his father in this new content. In Valhalla we of course learn about Basim's father being an architect and also the builder of wonders. The Great Mosque of Samarra was his masterpiece, but another man took credit and then his father was exiled and died in poverty. But maybe there's more to this story, something we will likely figure out in this free content. There is more we can take away from this image, but I first want to go over the leak. And of course, if you like the video so far, leave a like, that would really help me out, and subscribe. Because when we know more about this free Mirage content, I'll of course be the first to tell you here. JorRaptor namely posted something regarding the Assassin's Creed Mirage DLC and noted that they got some extra info from sources, including the fact that this new content will include elements that were supposed to be in the base game but that were removed due to a lack of production time and budget. In a Reddit AMA after the game's launch, Stefan Boudon, the creative director on the game, noted that he would love to see non-lethal takedowns more often and that he will work in the dark to serve that purpose. Now Basim had this option at the start of the game, but after he got the hidden blade, non-lethal takedowns were not an option anymore. While in Shadows they made a pretty big deal out of the fact that now they can grab an enemy and knock them out with their grapple hook, if you, for example, don't want to kill the innocent servants. Now I don't think they will add a grapple hook, but I can totally see them add another way for Basim to do non-lethal takedowns with this DLC. Ubisoft namely also notes that gameplay improvements for the base game and the new location are coming with this content, so this totally falls in line. And actually during a GDC talk, Ubisoft revealed more cut content for the game. And one of those things was a special dog and dog master type enemy, kinda similar to the wolf stormer enemies from Valhalla. But they cut this dog enemy from the game because they did not give enough solutions to the player to avoid killing the dog. Only the sleeping darts would, for example, work, but you don't always have them available to you. Well, if they add more non-lethal ways for Basim to take out enemies, this issue might be resolved, meaning that we might see this Dogmaster enemy in the game. Another interesting thing they cut early in production was the monkey companion that would be able to do parkour and infiltrate specific locations, to pickpocket keys, to be some kind of decoy for attracting guards as well. I think this sounds pretty awesome, but they stayed away from it because it would cost a lot of new animation work and because there were simply no monkeys in a 9th century Baghdad. Well, it turns out that according to Google AI, there are monkeys in the Alula region. I still think it's kind of wishful thinking that they would add this. We also don't see it in the image, but I would love to be wrong. The special attacks that were noted here, Could also be the gameplay improvements they mention. I was actually pleasantly surprised by the combat system in Mirage because it was more a stealth-focused game, but I could totally use some extra depth. And we also see sandstorms, which would be awesome. Origins actually had these, but they would avoid cities, while Mirage is of course focused on the city. But maybe they could make this work in the new region. Although also here a lot of animation work and reactions from NPCs would be needed. That is why they shied away from it for the base game. But now they got funding from Saudi Arabia. This DLC was actually announced at a tech event in Saudi Arabia, where the Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot shared a collab that they will do with the Savi Game Fund. The Savi Game Fund that's also invested in many other Western companies and Nintendo. Earlier this year we actually had a report from a French newspaper that turned out to be true. They note that discussions ultimately led to an agreement for a DLC for Assassin's Creed Mirage, the development of which would be largely financed by the Savi Games Group. It is likely why the content is free. Saudi Arabia likely wants more eyes on the Alula region, potentially for tourism, so has asked Ubisoft to highlight this part in Mirage. Now let's hope Ubisoft is not restricted in how they portray this region and can focus on the actual historical facts. Like, I wonder if there were some "you cannot say this" or "highlight this" as part of the agreement. But we will find out soon enough when the content drops later in the year. Like, on the other hand, it's cool that we now get to explore regions we otherwise don't see in games. Jeux Video speculates that it will launch somewhere in October, which would be 1 month after the Claws of Awaji DLC for Assassin's Creed Shadows. So it seems like the perfect time. Pretty wild, by the way, how Ubisoft Bordeaux is launching 2 big DLCs for 2 different Assassin's Creed games, and pretty close to each other. Like, they moved to a bigger studio after the launch of Mirage, so this is likely what they've been up to next to helping some other bigger projects Ubisoft has. I still hope though that after releasing those 2 DLCs, they can work on their own big old school type Assassin's Creed game with their own character, different city. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, first we get this Mirage content, and I have a feeling that it's going to be pretty beefy. Maybe the biggest free content we ever had for an Assassin's Creed game, so bigger than the crossover content in Valhalla or Odyssey, or the Forgotten Saga DLC. Another interesting thing is that it will likely take place during the main story of the game. We namely see Enkidu still in the image, and if you finished Mirage, you know that that means that it's before the ending. We also know that the voice actress of Nihal will have new lines in this content, also likely indicating it's before the ending. And Basim is also still wearing the Initiate outfit and not the Master Assassin robe. Ubisoft Canada actually shared a new outfit he will wear in a now deleted video, but yeah, he's not a Master Assassin yet. So my theory is that we likely have to kill the first target in Baghdad, and then when you're able to choose to go after the 3 other targets in the order you want, you can also choose to go to Alula to investigate your father's death. This is namely also when you can start the 40 Thieves pre-order mission. But of course your theories are more than welcome in the comments down below. One final thing, the DLC might be free, but I'm totally expecting Ubisoft to drop some new Helix packs for the game around that time as well. They also did this for Odyssey when that game got content 3 years after its release. And to be fair, the ones they made for the base game of Mirage were pretty solid. So yeah, subscribe for everything on the Mirage DLC and of course other Assassin's Creed games. A like would really help me out, and check out our previous video by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you very soon. Goodbye.